I've been drawing, I guess, all that since I was a kid, but it was kind of off and on. I think like any kid, I drew a lot. I got encouragement at an early age for it, and I think that was what kept me doing it. Growing up in Brookhaven, we had no art whatsoever. It was strictly, I had no background at all. I just did it kind of on the side on my own, here and there. Did a pretty good job of it, and so yeah, I continually got encouragement on it. Originally, I was real big on pen and ink. At a pretty early age, I got into, I realized I was really big on detail. With pen and ink, I could get really fine detail. I went to an art school in Germany. I studied graphic design rather than fine arts because at that point I'd never painted. I never thought I could get the kind of detail with a brush that I like to do, so I never even tried painting. My art teachers always commented that I really needed to loosen up and work larger and freer, and I really had a hard time breaking away from that. I was really tight stuff. And over the years, I kind of got into working larger and larger. About 1995, I got away from my graphic design and got interested in faux finish work. And in the process, started going into these nice homes and seeing murals and realized that I could paint better than most of those muralists that I'd seen in these nice homes. I think a lot of people aren't aware. You don't see enough murals that people stop to think, oh, I'd like a mural. So a lot of people aren't even aware that it's sort of available. But yeah, it's getting more and more popular. I think it's been around for centuries. I think murals are significant because the scale of it is it's sort of like, as opposed to having a picture on your wall, with a mural you're sort of encompassed inside your art, and it's so big that it just sort of grabs you. Pretty much what I've done in the way of murals has been realism, mostly landscapes. Doing murals has gotten me into landscapes, which is something I never really was into before, simply because most people want a landscape if they're just going to have something on their wall. It always goes back to realism, just because I get so caught up in it. I've tried to do abstract, but I always just get caught up in the detail.
Don I think, is famous for his trees. It just looks like you could peel the bark off the trees. They're so realistic.
Probably my two favorite murals at this point are, one, the Governor's Mansion, and two, I did a dining room for Ken and Sherry Hilton.
I started seeing his work in some designer show houses, and it just so happened that we decided to build a new house, and he just immediately came to mind to call about this mural. He has fantastic ideas and really knows how to put that forth in his work.
The Governor's Mansion was a larger scale. At the Hiltons, I got into a little more detail.
Don even painted the geese and the ducks that we have on our pond into the mural. So it was very personal for us, and he just did a fantastic job. The most exciting thing is to see people walk in the door and they turn the corner and they go, oh, wow! And they spend, a half an hour in here looking at all the details and just oohing and aahing over what he's done. So it's just a conversation piece. I just can't imagine not having this in any house that I'd live in. If we moved, I would definitely do it again. It's just a magnificent piece of art, life-size, that I can't describe how serene I feel when I walk into the dining room. It's a peaceful feeling, and I truly feel like he has brought the outside in, and it's almost like eating under the stars.
The mural at the Governor's Mansion, it was done in the conference room in the business sector of the building. It encircles the entire room, It's done in a monochromatic style, meaning no color, just dark and light, sort of like a black and white photo. And the idea was a landscape of Mississippi without all the historical trappings of Civil War and all that.
It depicts Mississippi to me, the landscape of Mississippi, and it's done geographically correct on the walls. During the campaign 4 years ago, we had to travel to the regions of Mississippi, and there were 5 regions. So after Haley was elected and we saw this conference room, which was at that time very dark, it was painted very dark, I just knew I wanted to lighten it up. And the new thing was to do monochromatic, which I thought would be very pleasing and wear well for a room that I felt like we would use a lot.
I've gotten into a lot of the monochromatic stuff in the last couple of years, partly because a mural can, sometimes you don't want too much color. If you get too much color, it can be a little too overwhelming and a little too much. Whereas with the monochromatic things, it's just kind of a subtle idea.
It's subdued, and so when people come in, it does not overtake them, and they're not just staring at it. It's something that you can see that people just kind of settle in with, and it's not distracting to them, but yet it's pleasing. Haley loves to show this room off, and matter of fact, when we had B.B. King here for lunch, this is where we had lunch with him, and he sat at the end, which would be sort of home to him, and he was carried away with it.
The most challenging part of all of it is just actually doing it. When I started the mural at the governor's mansion, I went in there, just started looking around, mapping everything out, and honestly thought, what have I gotten myself into? Pretty much any mural starts that way. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Every time it's like I'm starting over, learning how to paint even. I mean, it's starting from the beginning. It can be a little intimidating, and honestly, my favorite part is signing my name and knowing it's done. It's hard to describe, but when you've done, to have done something on such a large scale is just immensely satisfying. I mean, it is hard to describe. When I go into that room in the governor's mansion and see that, it kind of blows me away every time when I go in there, because it's actually kind of hard to believe that I did that.
He put a lot of himself into it and studied a lot about the different landscapes and the different trees that were native to Mississippi. It reminds me of this position and what a responsibility we have for the state, because it constantly reminds me of our state and how beautiful it is, and that there are people that actually live here, and that these are lands that we need to preserve, along with the respect that we need to show to our people and to our landscape.
A good description of his work: it's serene, it's comfortable, just very enjoyable.
I feel very lucky that I can make a living doing that. It's pretty neat to be able to get up in the morning and go to my job and know I'm just going to paint all day.
Just the ultimate professional and fantastic artist. I mean, I think his stuff should be in the Smithsonian.